Okay. And we're going to start. I know Pam will be right back, but you should have, just go over what you have. You have a canvas. Hold on a second. Somebody just walked in. You're over here. Okay, so you have a canvas, you have stretcher bars, and most of you have probably put them on stretcher bars at this point. You also have a variety of threads, and you'll notice that some of the threads weren't listed because I threw an extra because I was unsure of when something might arrive. So I always throw an extra. But the one thing I want to make sure of is that this is the week's dye works. Okay. So you should have 4 of those. And then you have 4 different colors between silk and ivory and Planet Earth silk. You have silk straw. You have 3 different colors of silk straw. You have accentuate. Good morning. Yep. No, you're good. You're good. So, this is not on your list. It is a silk lame petite that was added after the fact. Another silk lame, but not a petite. There's a couple silk lames. And then you have a neon rays. Okay, so ladies, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that they're good to go on here. And then after we're done, we will do individual. I'll go around individually because I'm gonna show everything that I do online will be uploaded and the Zoom will be sent out to everybody. All right, so you can always look at it afterwards. I'm sorry, I don't know you.
Laurie Arnold.
Hi, Laurie. So
yesterday you said I did not to put the.
We'll get you settled. We'll get hold on just a second. I'm going to grab somebody to, do you have your stretcher bars with you? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to grab somebody to put stretcher bars on for somebody. Jill, can you come collect her canvas and put stretcher bars on for her? Thank you. Don't even worry about it, Laurie. Okay. So, and we may end up and then a couple other things, little housekeeping that I want to talk about as well, is that your stitch guide is suggestion. All right. It's not a mandate. It's not law. And if you don't like the stitch or it doesn't work for you, move on. Okay. It's nobody else's work but yours. And at the end, I always think, even though the canvas is painted, okay, it's still your masterpiece once it's completed. So even though this is painted, I think of it as blank, and what you do with it is your masterpiece. It's not mine. It's not somebody else's. It's yours. And so when I do a stitch guide, I prefer to call them stitch suggestions, but also remember, a guide is just a guide. It's not a mandate. It's not the rules of the law. You're not going to be put in jail, none of that stuff. All right. It's yours. And I want everybody to enjoy the process. When I saw this canvas, I thought this canvas was great for somebody who wanted to, there's many different levels of stitchers and some are just beginning. So this is a great one for a beginner, but it's also, if you like the design and it said something to you, great. All right. And so for the most part, the stitches aren't complicated. There are probably some very advanced stitchers on here and they're not complicated, but they work. And like I said, if there's a different stitch you want to do somewhere else, I love to see it. I know that there is a woman who is going to actually do sparkles in the tail. All right, great. Have a great time. I'm all for it. So that being said, If you don't have one of your threads, let me know and I will make sure that it gets out to you. This class is 3 classes. So we'll do a class this morning. We're going to do a class on Tuesday, and then we're going to do the last class on February 9th. And we're doing that for 2 reasons. One, it's going to give you the opportunity. There's only 7 stitches. So it's going to give you the opportunity to catch up. We'll clean up and we'll make sure everybody has what they need. And 2, I'm on vacation between the 27th. I know, finally I'm on vacation. There are people that are really happy that I'm going away. And if you were in the store with me, you'd be happy too, because I'm grouchy. So between then and the 5th. So it gives me the time to come back and settle in and get things done from when I was away. But then to come back to this, and that should give everybody enough time to at least gotten through part of every stitch. I also know there are many people out there that are stitchers, and I'll show you, and I will take, if anybody wants a close-up of this and needs it on their phone, I can email it to you. I can email you a picture. I know a lot of stitches are very militant, and something like the short and longs absolutely drive them bonkers. And I love short and longs. All right. I could go outside the lines all day long, but that's who I am. And that's what these all are in there. So with that, we are going to begin with, does anybody have any questions before we move on? Everybody's good? Okay.
I have one when you get to the background, but.
Okay, absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll go over the background a little bit today as well, because it's definitely different. So you're going to take your lightest color thread. And don't worry, Lori, yours will be here in just a minute, so you don't have to worry about it. And cut it. And I don't know how everybody cuts, but I tend to make mine a little longer than I should. But I'm okay with that. It depends on the thread. For something like this, I don't mind cutting it a little bit longer. So this is the thread, and this is for this part here. Her head. Her head is a diagonal mosaic. Okay, a fairly simple stitch. And I am going to toggle over to the other camera, and I'm going to show you the stitch. And as I said to you before, that all of these stitches are going to be, you'll have a tutorial online. So let me just toggle over. Okay, everybody see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can go in further.
Yes.
Okay. So I've already threaded my needle and I've already kind of started. All right, so I'm going to pull that back down. And I'm going to start with your first stitch in the diagonal is almost as if you're doing a continental, right? So it's at that, you're going to start right here. You're going to pull it up. And you're going to go into the next well. And pull down. Okay. The next one is over 1 stitch. Up. And over. And the next one is just barely over 1. And you're going to follow that all the way down. For me, I know there's some people that say that you should go from Maine to California. I'm a jumper. Okay, I'm also left-handed. So I start in one where most people might start in one place, I'm going to start somewhere else. And when I'm starting on a project like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the one that's going to give me the longest line. All right, to the longest, I'm going to take an area where I know I can create one long row. And then I'm going to be able to balance everything else out from there. So if I'm up in the middle of the head.
So did you kind of start where the colors meet?
You can start with, I would start where the colors meet. And you may start just a little bit below where the colors meet. in order to give you a nice long line. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I can always go back and do the top part where you have smaller lines, and then I can always go down. All right. And it just gives me that continuity of a stitch where other people are great to start right up at the top and work your way down. Because for your second row, for your mosaic, all right, and I find this easiest is that your mosaic is over the well for one and then over one stitch, right? So I usually start with the longest stitch on my second row when I come back, and I'm going to put that tiny little stitch in because that's just over one little area. And then that makes sure that I am absolutely putting it into the right hole and lining up my stitches.
Can you move that back towards you a little bit? I can't see the stitch, so
Okay,
the other way, yeah.
this
Good.
way?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Because I'm not paying attention to that, I'm paying attention to the stitch. All right.
Come up and look.
Yeah, you absolutely come on up. Okay, so this is where I started, this one. And then when you come back down, once again, start on the longest one because it will make it easier for you. And then go back and do the short one.
Hello.
I have found that I mess it up doing it the other way.
So do you kind of do one row and then go back and do another? You're kind of, you don't
Yes.
do 2 rows at a time.
No, I don't do 2 rows at a time.
Okay.
But that ensures me that my long stitch is always married to a short
Right.
stitch. And my short stitch is always married to a long stitch. And that's your diagonal mosaic. And honestly, once you get this stitch down, you can take, if you took this stitch, you could do that stitch vertically. You could do that stitch horizontally. You can do that stitch going with the taking it and going the other way. So it's amazing how you take one stitch and you can turn it into something else. And when you do that, what you do is you create movement. So a good place to, I've done florals where I've only used a mosaic stitch. And I've changed, well, I've used a mosaic and a continental, and I've changing the direction of the mosaic had allowed for the movement. It allows for the movement of the petals. Does that make sense? So as you turn it, you can absolutely do that. So that's your mosaic stitch. That's and to me, that's, some people do it very easily. Other people don't. It's a really pretty stitch once it's done. And this is what it should look like once it's completed. And you're going to follow that stitch all the way. You're going to use that stitch all the way through here. So her head and this arm are all the diagonal mosaic. Okay. And I'm going to let, if you want to try it, we can try it. We'll try it in a few minutes. Everybody comfortable with that stitch? Any questions on it? And once you get the pattern on, they say it takes about 3/4 of an hour to do an inch, like a square inch. But once you get, because of the kind of stitch it is, once you get that pattern down, you'll find it flows very, very quickly. And I'm not a quick stitcher, although people would beg to differ. It depends on what stitch I'm doing. All right. And I found this one, I can move fairly quickly. And you should have very little, you should need very, very little compensation on this. And honestly, if you have to compensate, where you're going to have to compensate is on your ends, and just do a little continental right there. Any questions? Penny, it's so nice to see you in person.
Thanks, you too.
So, Laura, you okay? Iris, you okay? Okay. So then we'll move on to, we'll do this stitch up here because that's going to be an easy one as well. And this is the next shade of blue. So if you noticed that this is the same as this, as the same as this, it's the same blue. Okay. And what I've done is, even though it was the same blue, I broke it down into 3 stitches. This stitch right here is a horizontal brick. So on her hand, and I'm going to use the same thread only because it's easier for me. I don't have to go back and rethread, and I'm not, because honestly, I don't even know where my stash is. For this. So a horizontal brick, can you see this okay? Yes. So their next lightest color. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's fine. That's fine. Just go light to dark on yours. Mm-hmm. All right, you're gonna go over one well. And then in order to kind of anchor it, I'm going to take it back, and I'm going to, so to do a row over horizontally. And this one, you will have a little bit more compensation. And then for your second row, you're going to start in the middle of your first row. So it's kind of, so like a brick, it's staggered. And I do find on the ends that I have to compensate a little bit, but not so much. That one didn't quite work. Hold on. Lisa, we'll go all over this when.
Typically, where do you like to start this one?
Typically I'll take the first full row I can
Take a full row.
to make a full row.
You're doing the hand though, right?
Yeah,
So it's the 3rd color stitch.
the hand
It's
is,
the 3rd color.
you know what, you're right. I'm sorry. The hand is the 3rd color.
Yeah, so the hand is the little 3.
Thank you, Kim. It doesn't matter.
Okay, the hand is this.
And you're gonna,
Third
yeah,
is the 3rd color, the same as part of the body. The bodice is the same.
okay. And so you bring that in. And yeah. Oh. Okay, hold on. For some reason, this is not working for me this morning. Oh, and I know why. Okay, so go over 2. And then on your 3rd row, and on the next row, so you go over 2 and you will stagger, so you will fall in between. My bad this morning, I'm sorry. You will fall in between, so it's staggered.
And even though you're using this color for part of the tail, this is the only one that is the brick.
This is
The
the
only
only
area.
part that's the brick.
Okay.
So, Yeah, the hand part, which is a
So
very,
I have a
small
stupid
part.
question.
It's not, it's
I'm
nothing.
not seeing the brick.
Okay,
I
so
see a diamond stitch.
that's this, okay, so go to your third, I gave you the wrong color to start with. Anyway, go to the third color, in your gradation,
It's either lagoon or capri. I
it's
think.
either lagoon or capri. Okay, and your hand is the same color as her hips and is a part of the tail. Do you see that?
Yep.
No, I don't.
Okay,
Same on your, it's the same color on the canvas, those three same colors.
yeah, so you have, your first color is that greenish color, which was the
Right.
first one we used. The second color is this here. Oh, you don't see it because I'm not on the right camera. Hold on.
Aruba. It's,
Aruba, which is this here.
Right.
Okay, the third color is either capri or lagoon.
Okay.
Okay, and
So
that
with that-
color is
with the
where her hips
lagoon-
are, her hand, and then part of her tail.
Right.
Okay, and
But
that's
what I'm saying is I don't see the brick pattern. What
okay.
I'm seeing is the diamond stitch.
Diamond stitch.
brick pattern is page 3. It's the page. It's on the top.
No, she might have missed. Okay, you don't see that one. I will send you. She doesn't see it because she probably,
It's on the top of this one.
yeah, hold on. It might be missing out of hers. You know what? I will send that over to you.
Okay,
I'll
thanks.
send you all, I'll send it all in an email.
Okay.
Everybody
All
has
right,
it.
thanks.
I see what you're missing, because honestly, my copy for some reason is missing it as well. Well, no, it's not. Hold on,
Page 3 or 4, right?
right. Because this is what it would look like. And you're saying you're missing,
Yeah, I don't have that.
okay. Then we're gonna, well, I will make sure you have all the right one. Okay, so that's your brick stitch. And I'll send it over right after class.
Okay.
So basically, it's a staggered stitch and every row is staggered. So those are the two that we'll do for the body today. And then the other thing we'll discuss is the background. Because I know some people want to get started on it. And I did not do a diagram for the background, but I will do one and I will get it over to you. The background is a darning stitch. All right. And you're going to use your Weeks Dye Works Accentuate. You may use the Silk Lame as well. And what I did is I used the Silk Lame, the white Silk Lame, because this was just the add-on at the end, randomly. Didn't count how many rows or whatever. I just used it randomly.
Both of these you did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. And when I say randomly, I did not count at all when I was putting them in. I just put them in.
It is stunning in person.
Okay. And you're going to get, and when I send over this updated stitch guide to you, I will send a picture of an attachment of the picture of the done mermaid. So you can blow it up to your heart's content and realize, you may find an error or two in it, but that's okay.
Michelle, when you do the background, do you, and you're mixing all these
Mhm.
different fabrics, yarns, whatever you call them, are you doing them one at a time? So are you doing like a row of the Weeks Dye Works, a row of
Yes.
Accentuate?
No. You're going to do, with the Weeks Dye Works and the Accentuate, I would take a piece and I use 2 strands of the Weeks Dye Works. All right, so the Weeks Dye Works is strandable. And I use 2 strands and then 1 strand of the Accentuate. And I'm gonna-
One row.
1 row, and I'm gonna cut it long enough to go through 1 row. All right, and the reason why I'm going to do that is so I'm not gonna see a whole bunch of threads on the back of my canvas. You're still gonna have threads on the back of your canvas, but if you do it all the way out, as far as you want to do it, okay, there's no right or wrong. If you do it all the way out, you save yourself the having to thread the needle in the middle of it.
So we're not knotting it or anything, we're just taking it to the end.
You're
and
just
that's
taking it to the end,
Okay.
and it will make your life so much easier. Is it the exact right way to do it? Somebody would probably shoot me, but I'm going to tell you it was the easiest thing to do. Okay. And when I say, and then what I would do is I would do some of this. I might do some of this alone. All right. And with the pattern, it kind of creates a wave. So if I can show, I'm going to toggle back to the other camera. And I did this at the end. And the reason why I did it at the end was that, okay, see if I can bring that up further.
So
The
you did
reason
background last.
I did the background last. Some people like to do it first, especially since it's white. But that Accentuate is so dainty and it can snag real easily that I just went back and I did it afterwards. And I'm going to tell you, I did take it across the back if I had to. I didn't have to do it everywhere. But I took it across, if I felt that it wasn't gonna anchor right, I just took it across
What
the
did you do
back.
for the middle pieces when you did take it across?
I was just really careful.
You just stopped?
I just stopped and then I started again. But what I also found is it was easier to keep my rows synced by taking it all across. Because because that's one of the things that you have to think about. And this pattern, you start under, and I think it's under 1, 1, 2, 3. So you start at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. You go in on the 4th stitch. Okay. So hold on. I'm going to start down here. All right, and it started, you can start over, it's fine. 1, 2, 3, come down on the 4th. Go under 1. Over 1. Under 1. Yep. Under 1. 1, 2, 3, and then into the 4th hole. Under. Over 1. Under 1.
You're always skipping a hole.
You're skipping a hole. 1, 2, 3, and then down. And then on your second row, because you want it to be staggered, it doesn't have to be a perfect stagger, is I sort of started in the middle of the row when I came back. And I went 1, 2, 3, down and 4. Under 1. Over 1. Under 1. Over 3 and into the 4th. Under 1. Over 1. Under 1. over 3. And I did that all the way across. Make sense?
Yes.
All right, you'll see it better when you see the tutorial. I'll make sure that it's absolutely clear and I'll use the accentuate in the other thread. I'll do it both ways in the tutorial. Because think of a darning or a basting stitch, right? When you are, if you've ever sewed, let me see if this comes down. If you've ever sewed, and it's hard to see it with that because it's all white, but you can see all the holes in that canvas, correct?
Yes.
All right. And when you have, and so it's what they would call an open stitch. And what it sort of does, to be honest, is it creates a little bit movement. All right. You can it almost feels like she is moving through it at this point. And I know for me, what I'm going to do, and I pulled it all the way out because I wanted to make sure that I had enough space on either side to make a pillow. You need 2 extra rows for a pillow or a tray. And you can go down as far as you want, and you can go up as far as you want.
And say again about the 2 extra rows that you need.
Okay, so when you're making a pillow or you're going to do it as an insert for tray, you're going to need 2 extra rows. You're going to lose 2 rows in your, you're going to lose 2 rows when they go to finish it.
Okay.
Okay.
Kind of the frame.
Yeah.
What I think of.
Yes, if you're going to frame it, you're going to lose 2 rows.
Okay.
They need those for finishing. And because you're going to lose them, I just went up as far as I wanted to, knowing I'm going to lose them, and down as far as I wanted to, and out as far as I wanted to. And I don't care. And honestly, my ends are uneven. This is not even over here. And I don't care because I know I'm going to lose 2, but I went out as far as I wanted to go. And I know that's still going to, and I will probably do a little bit of an inset when I do the pillow.
So Michelle, question for you still on the background. You worked with the 2 strands of the weeks dye work to accentuate.
Mhm.
Then did you work individually?
Yes.
With these?
Mhm.
So did you sort of rotate and do 1 row of this, 1 row of this, 1 row?
It was
of
all
this?
random,
All random.
all random.
But this, we're using 1 strand.
Only
We're not
one
mixing it
strand of,
together. Okay.
And that was originally what I was going to do with the Silk Lame Petite, is use that in place of the accentuate if it had not come in. And then you would have mixed it, because you can mix it with the Weeks Dye Works. It's just going to be a little bit heavier than your accentuate would, but it's going to be thinner than your Silk Lame because
So you
it's a
kinda just wanna
petite.
Mix it all.
You want to mix it all up, and
Okay.
it will be really interesting once you mix it all up, because the Silk Lame Petite is an aqua blue. So you'll have strands of that aqua blue going in. And if you don't like it, don't use it.
Yeah, they think it'll be very pretty.
Yeah, it'll be really pretty. And you should have plenty on that accentuate to get you all the way through the canvas. Plenty. Any questions? Okay,
Wait, I have a question. When
absolutely.
If you were using the petite silk lame, because you said that you randomly did the white through yours, but if you were going to use one of the colors, do you randomly do that too?
You can.
Okay.
You can. You absolutely
Okay.
can. I did not, because I did not have this. All right.
Right.
All right. And this was, like I said, an add-on. And originally I said, well, if this doesn't come in, because this is a tiny bit thinner than your Silk Lame Petite is. A tiny bit thinner.
Yeah.
All right. This is what they would call a filament thread. All right. Or blending thread, where this they actually use on things. So you could take your Weeks Dye Works and do maybe 1 strand of Weeks Dye Works with the Silk Lame. petite. But when you use any one of the other silk lames, just use it singularly.
Okay.
Right? Don't add your weeks dye works. And there's no reason to add the accentuate because you're going to get plenty of sparkle. Okay. And if you don't like random, then do every third row or, you know, every fourth row or something like that. Any questions?
What else can you do that kind of background on?
You can do this background on a lot of different things. It's a really, I will do it a lot when I'm doing something scenery driven. I do a lot of open backgrounds with bigger pieces. I use this one on, I don't know if anybody's seen the Dancing Mermaid from, it's a Judaic piece and it's from Julia's Needleworks. And I'd seen the piece online and fell in love with it when I saw what somebody had done with it. And as soon as I got the canvas, I went, oh God. And I put it away because it was very daunting. But when I went to go do it, I used this stitch, okay, in the background without any, I used linen. So the whole thing is done in linen.
And are there any fibers that stitch does not work with? It has to be the fine fabric.
I've used it with
Right.
impressions.
Okay.
Okay, so 2 strands of impressions on a 13 count. It also depends on whether you have a 13 count versus an 18 count canvas, because an 18 count canvas is smaller. You just don't want it to look too heavy because it's a very delicate stitch. You know, it fades into the background. It fades into the background. And that's the other thing I think about too, is when you're working on something, especially a scene, not necessarily something like this, because this to me is like a sampler, but when you're working on a scene, you have things that are going to come forward and you're going to have things that are going to be receding. And this is a great receding. The darning stitch is a great receding stitch. So there's a lot of different things you can use it on. I probably wouldn't use it on clothing. But you could definitely, I see it in backgrounds more than I do anywhere else. Any other questions? Okay, so if you want to get started with those stitches, we will see you on Tuesday. I'm going to I'm going to upload the video. I'm going to do the tutorials. And I'm going to resend the stitch guide to everybody. And yes, I will send an attachment of the picture. So you all have a picture of what it is and you can blow it up at your fancy.
Right.
Just have one question. You were going to, I think, send me text because I had the frame, but
They're on that. You should get them by today.
Oh, awesome. Because I've been working like with it rolled, but it's starting to get a little,
Yeah.
wrinkly.
get it.
So, oh,
You should
awesome.
get it today. And what you're
Okay,
going to
thanks.
So you've not used the tacks before. So
No, I've always rolled, but they get very stretchy. So,
Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna start in your corners with your tacks. Okay.
okay.
So your frame goes together like a piece, like puzzle piece.
Yeah, I got the frame together. Yeah.
Okay. So start in your corners and pull it out. All right.
Okay.
As far as you can, start in your corners. And then once you get your corners done, put one in each center. And then you can put as many as around as you want. And the whole idea behind the frame is it's going to keep your piece taut. All right.
That's what I
You're going to be
need, yeah.
able to see the whole thing, especially when you start doing decorative stitches. You're going to be able to see the whole thing, but 2, it's going to keep that piece tight. And that's
awesome.
important. All right. And it might take a little bit for you to get adjusted to holding it. But once you do, so a cheat is if you're sitting on your couch, that it's up against your belly or your lap. All right. And I don't know if you can see it here, but I typically am on the couch like this. All right. And I have a pillow or the side rest here and it's propped against me so I can use the hand to do it. Okay.
Okay,
And
great,
so it's just
thanks.
gonna get used, you're just gonna have to get used to holding it.
Not rolling it, because when you roll it, it just doesn't look good when you roll. I'd rather have it that way, so.
Yeah. So that's all you're gonna have to get used to, but it will make your,
Okay,
when you do it, it will be really interesting to see how you feel about your stitches afterwards. Cause you'll look at it and
Awesome,
go,
thank
oh,
you."
wow, okay. And you won't have as much
Yeah.
blocking to do.
okay,
So-
good.
And I know some people just love the scrunch of that in their hand, and that's good. But for something like this, I think it's really great to have stretcher bars, especially with this
Awesome.
background. You
Okay,
know what I mean? So, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. You all have the
Okay.
email, and it's, and I'm the only one that answers it, so it's all good.
great,
Okay.
thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.
Okay, thanks,
Sounds good.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day,
Bye.
everyone.
You too.
So Michelle,